The case has his dead first mate's name stamped on the side of it. Jim Calloway has not moved in 40 seconds. He is 62 years old. He has stood at the helm of a 40-foot vessel in a Force 8 storm and never once lost his footing. Right now, his hand is gripping the edge of the desk, like the desk might leave without him. The boy who put it there is 9 years old, small, quiet, tight curly hair, a red windbreaker damp from the morning fog. His navy backpack sits on the floor beside him. He stands completely still, watching Jim's face the way someone watches a door they've been told will eventually open. The case is military-grade waterproof, olive green, palm-sized, the kind sailors use for documents they cannot afford to lose. On the front panel, stamped in worn black ink, David A. Carter. Jim gave David that exact case the morning they shipped out on the Meridian. The morning neither of them knew was the last clear morning they would ever have together. Jim turns it over. His own name is on the back, handwritten in black marker, 15 years old, slightly faded. David wrote it there the first week he had the case, in case it ever got separated from him at sea. It got separated from him. Jim never thought it would come back. The boy says he found it on the beach that morning, about a mile north of the old breakwater, lodged between two rocks at low tide. He says he has been asking about this harbor, this office, this specific man, for 3 years. He says the ocean finally gave him a reason to come. He says David Carter was his grandfather. Jim sets the case down, picks it up, sets it down again. The side door opens. Eddie Reyes steps in from the dock, denim jacket, coffee in hand, mid-sentence about the morning tide. He sees the case on the desk. His sentence stops. He places the coffee down with very careful hands and does not speak. Outside the harbor office window, the main coastline runs bright and wide under a clean blue sky, colorful fishing boats bobbing on vivid blue water, the dock full of life, morning light sharp on the weathered wood and chrome cleats. And across the water, stretched between two posts on the development building, a banner. Apex Harbor Sale, closing tomorrow, 9 a.m. Below it, 2 men in hard hats carry archive boxes through a propped open door, one box at a time, working steadily. Jim looks at the case, then the banner, then at Eddie, who has not spoken since he walked in, and is staring at the case the way a man stares at something he spent 15 years hoping would stay exactly where it was. Re-Hook, a military-grade waterproof case bearing a dead man's name washed ashore this morning after 15 years at the bottom of a harbor. And the boy who found it is that man's grandson. The sale that will demolish every harbor record closes tomorrow at 9. Workers are already clearing the archives. And the only other man in this room who knows what really happened the night the boat went down has not said a single word since he walked in. Jim opens the case on the third attempt. His hands are not the problem. 40 years at sea have kept them steady through worse than this. It is something else entirely that makes the seal finally click open on the third try. Inside, one photograph, sealed in a plastic sleeve. David Carter, younger, laughing, standing on the Meridian's deck in full bright sunlight. On a day Jim remembers because the water was flat as glass and the catch was good. Beside him, at hip height, a small boy, maybe 2 years old, tight curly hair, reaching up toward David's hand, Noah, before he was old enough to know what a harbor was, or what it would take from him. Behind the photograph, a folded page. One page, both sides, David's handwriting. Dated November 12th, 2 days before the Meridian went down. Jim reads it standing. He does not sit. The weather buoys anchored in the outer bay were manually adjusted on November 9th, 3 days before the storm hit. Their pressure readings were falsified to show calm forecast conditions when the actual system building offshore was severe. David found the maintenance log through a contact at the coast station. The maintenance contract for those buoys that year was held by a company called Harlan Maritime Services. Jim knows that name. Harlan Maritime Services became Apex Harbor Development in 2014. His phone rings before he finishes the page. Apex's lawyers have moved the signing, not tomorrow at 9, tonight at 6. The archive room is being cleared as a condition of transfer, company policy for all properties in transition, the lawyer explains pleasantly. Jim has 4 hours. He calls the harbor board chairman directly, reads the key lines from David's note, requests an emergency hearing before the signing. The chairman agrees, 5:45. The boardroom above the dock. Jim sets the phone down and picks up the note again. Then Eddie speaks. He stands near the window, back to the room, looking out at the bright blue harbor water and the colorful fishing boats and the Apex banner across the way. He says he saw the buoy maintenance report the night they shipped out. A copy left on the dock office desk, misfiled, not meant to be seen. He read it, knew the readings were wrong, did not say anything because a man from Apex came to see him 2 weeks before. His brother needed surgery that year. The bills were significant. The man from Apex was not threatening. He was simply helpful, in a way that made the expectation perfectly clear. Eddie turns from the window, 15 years of harbor mornings on his face. Jim looks at him for a long time without speaking. The note is still in his hand. 4 hours. One note. One witness who stayed silent while a man drowned. And a sale signing that starts the moment the board meeting David Carter wrote the truth down 2 days before he died and sealed it in a case that took 15 years to wash ashore. Jim has 4 hours, one note, and one witness who chose silence while a man was lost at sea. The signing begins the moment the board meeting ends, and the archive room is already being cleared, box by box. Eddie sits in Jim's truck for 11 minutes and does not get out. Jim does not ask him to. Noah sits between them on the bench seat, the photo case in his lap, both hands flat on its surface. The harbor outside the windshield is bright and busy and entirely indifferent. Fishing boats turning in from the morning run, dock workers moving crates, the Apex banner catching the afternoon breeze across the water. 11 minutes. Then Eddie looks at Noah. Not at the case, not at Jim. At Noah. At the boy's hands resting on the case and the way he is sitting. Straight-backed, patient, not pushing. The same way David Carter used to sit when he had already made a decision and was simply waiting for everyone else to catch up. Eddie opens the truck door. The harbor boardroom sits above the main dock. Wide windows overlooking bright blue water. Colorful buoys strung along the outside railing. The whole harbor visible from wall to wall. Jim walks in at 5:43. Pierce is already there. 2 lawyers flanking him. Sale documents stacked and ready. 4 pens laid out in a neat line. Pierce sees Jim and does not look concerned. Jim places David's note on the table before anyone speaks. Pierce reads it, takes his time, then tells the board it is a 15-year-old document from a dead man. No chain of custody, no verification, no legal standing, and that the signing will proceed as scheduled. His voice carries the particular calm of a man who has already accounted for this possibility. Then the door opens. Eddie Reyes walks in. Pierce goes still. The lawyers look at each other. Jim watches Pierce's face for the exact moment the calculation changes. And it does, visibly in less than 2 seconds. Eddie stands at the end of the table and speaks for 4 minutes without stopping. Every date, every figure, every conversation. The buoy report on the dock office desk. The man who visited him. His brother's bills, the exact words used, the exact silence bought. 15 years of it, delivered without pause, without apology, without once looking away from Pierce. When Eddie finishes, the room stays quiet for a long moment. The sale does not proceed at 6 o'clock. 3 weeks later, Jim and Noah sit on the dock in golden afternoon light. Feet over the edge, the photo case open between them, David's photograph leaning against it and facing the harbor. The water below catches the light in bright, broken pieces. Noah doesn't say much. He doesn't need to. At the far end of the dock, Eddie sits alone, feet over the water, looking out at the place where the meridian went down. He is not ready to talk about it yet, but he came back to the water. For the first time in 15 years, he came back. The truth doesn't drown. It just waits until someone is ready to pull it up.